Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 305th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. As you can see, this battle has been fought on a custom map hosted by Brotherhood member Crypto. This is a good map. It's got woods that you can fight in, or big open plains if you want to fight out there. Okay, let's have a look at Crypto's army here. He's bought the Seleucid faction here, and this is an experimental army that Crypto decided to bring. I think he's got something like 9 pike units. Let's have a look at the upgrades. I see he's only got 6 upgrades, so that's gold shield, gold attack. But I thought we'd just have a look at the length of these pikes. Remember what we talk about, Roman troops have to fight their way all the way down those pikes to kill the man on the other end. So that's why Roman generals are not too keen about fighting pikes head on. I see he's got 5 archer units. Now remember that Seleucids have only got short range archers, but they're always handy to bring, because as you know, the big 120-man units are very susceptible to missile damage. So bringing 5 archers is a good move there to cover his pikes. Let's have a look at his cataphracts. Now remember, these cataphract cavalry are what we call the tanks of the ancient world, because they are armoured from head to toe and can be extremely effective, and used properly can be battle-winning troops. Let's have a look at the upgrades. Right, can you see the upgrades on these cavalry? They are fully upgraded. That's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So these cavalry are really serious cavalry and could do a lot of damage to enemy troops here. 1, 2, 3. I think he's got he's got 6 of those cataphract tanks of the ancient world, and 9 pikes, and I think 5 archers there. So that's a pretty good experimental army that Crypto's bringing. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Mars. Now, for this particular battle, Mars wanted to use one of my old Roman army that is about 9 years old. So that's what he's got there. My 12 infantry and 6 cavalry. He wanted to give it a go, see how well he could do with it. So I hope that tried and tested army does okay for you, Mars. Be interested to see how well it does during the course of the battle. Let's say 12 infantry, 6 cavalry, and about 9 years old. Our third teammate is Brotherhood member Spartan Leonidas, who's bought the Rome Julio faction. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I think he's got something like about 11 infantry, something like that, including an eagle unit. So he's got an eagle unit there, which of course gives more morale to his troops. There's the eagle unit there. I think he's got 2. Yeah, he's got 2 archer units, and I think he's got 5 cavalry, including his general unit is a cavalry unit. Let's have a look at the upgrades. Yeah, he's got 7 upgrades, so that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And as I say, I think he's got 5 cavalry units, including the general unit there. So it'll be interesting to see how well this army does. And their 4th team member is myself, Spartan Commander, who has unusually bought the Greek cities faction. Well, I think now and again, as I'm a Spartan Commander, I should bring the Greek cities and bring the Spartans sometime. So there's our team there. Looks a pretty good team, but you wait till you see the other team. This has got potential to be a really great battle, and I hope you enjoy it. Just a bit of background on this Spartan army of mine. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been asked several times why I'm called Spartan Commander and don't bring Greek cities very often. Well, the reason is when Rome Total War first came out, for the first 3 months of RTW, I only played with the Greek cities faction, hence my name, Spartan Commander. Now, this army is a really old army. It might be 9, 10 years old. I've dusted it up, dusted it off, cleaned it up a little bit, and I've brought it to the modern day battlefield. As you can see there, I've got 14 Spartan units. I think they're gold shield, gold attack, and yeah, gold shield, gold attack there. 14 there. And if you notice, I've got 5 cheap archers, not the Cretans, 5 cheap archers there. And the reason for that is that obviously by bringing the cheap archers, I can spend more money on my elite troops, but also these guys can attract enemy archer fire, because most people would think I'd bring Cretans, so they'll bring expensive archers and they'll shoot their expensive arrows onto my cheap archers. I think these archers, even with gold attack, are only 250 denarii each, whereas I think one Cretan archer with gold attack on is something like about 800 denarii. So I think when I made this army up, I just thought, well, I'd bring 5 archers along. They're quite good for countering enemy cavalry if they get too close. and I'll try and keep them out of range of long-range enemy archers until I feel that I need to use them. If you notice this Greek cities formation of mine, notice no pilot shield unit, because I've got absolutely no intention of standing in front of an enemy Roman army and letting them pilot me to death. This army is going to be used in an aggressive attacking way. Remember, when you choose Greek cities, you put your team at a cavalry disadvantage, so you must make the most of your elite Spartan troops, and that's what I'm going to try and do in this battle, and I hope you enjoy it. And here is the enemy team. We have Brotherhood member JGP, who has bought the Rome SBQR faction. I know a lot of new players to Rome Total War like to see our army build, so that's why I try and show you how we have built our armies here. As you can see, JGP has unusually got his Roman armoured cavalry general here. As I say, that's quite old school. Up to about 8-9 years ago, we always used to bring a cavalry general before we switched to an infantry general. So that's quite a bit of old school there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think he's got 7 archers, which on the face of it may be a lot of archers to bring to the 31k battlefield. Let's see how many infantry he's got. 4. I think he's just got 8 infantry. So he's got 7 archers, 8 infantry, as you can see there. So that is an incredible small amount of infantry to bring to the modern day 31k battlefield. And then let's have a look at his cavalry. Right, can you see that his elite Praetorian cavalry are fully upgraded? So that's 3 experienced stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Now, why do you think he's built this custom army? And make no mistake, this is a custom army to fight who he's facing across the battlefield, and that's the Seleucids. Okay, so he's got 7 archers because he knows that their 120-man pike units are extremely susceptible to missile damage. So that's why he's bought 7 archers, and his 8 infantry there. I think he feels he could take on those pike units, and he's got fully upgraded cavalry to take on the cataphracts. Those fully upgraded Praetorian cavalry he feels will be good enough to take on those fully upgraded tanks of the ancient world, those Seleucid cataphract. So that's why he's built that custom army there. Our next teammate is an RTW player called Scruffy. Now Scruffy is newer a player to RTW, but has become a very good 31k player. He's fought in several of our battles, and we've all said what a good player he is. And if you notice, he's bought the bog standard 14 infantry, 6 cavalry army. This new players to Rome Total War, this is the basic army that you bring for 31k. Very effective, very efficient. The next teammate is Turk. A lot of you would know RTW player Turk, and once again he has bought 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. As I say, 14 infantry, 6 cavalry is the bog standard 31k army. It's proven to be very effective, very efficient, and is in general a very good army. And their third teammate is Titan's Sparky. Once again, a lot of you will know Titan Sparky, very good player. And as you can see, he's bought the Rome SBQR faction, and once again he has got the 14 infantry, 6 cavalry. So that's a very good team we're up against, and this should be a great battle, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that old Greek city army of mine does okay. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle, you can see that JGP is really setting out his attacking credentials here, moving forward to try and take out as many of those Seleucid troops as he can. Remember, he's built that custom army, fully upgraded cavalry, 7 archers, but only 8 infantry. Do you notice he's charging his cavalry into the Seleucid archers there? Maybe looking to take out the archers before cavalry support can come in. But if you notice there, Mars with his Brutii cavalry, very quick to react. A nice counter attack there by his cavalry there to take on the SBQR cavalry. And if you notice that Crypto's bringing his tanks of the ancient world in, those cataphract cavalry as well. So as you see, JGP very aggressive here on this left flank, attacking as I say, our left flank there, but we've managed to counter with good cavalry attacks there by both Mars and Crypto. If you notice here, Mars is trying to copy my formation as well. Pretty good attempt at that. We've got pikes and my spears. If you notice, we formed up at the back of our Roman allies there, ready to move in where we need to. So as I say, this is a very, very early stage of the battle. And as I say, got my Greek cities up behind Spartan Leonidas' Julii infantry for if I'm needed. But meanwhile, over here on our left flank, after the initial aggressive enemy attack on our left flank, we've managed to counter quite well. and have caused a lot of casualties. Right, can you see Mars charging his cavalry into the enemy archers, and bang as that cavalry hits. Then the Seleucid cavalry goes in, and boom as that cavalry hits. So there's a joint Seleucid and Brutii cavalry hit on those archers. But if you notice, the SBQR general is bringing all his infantry and cavalry into the fray. And look at the Scipii cavalry coming in as well, and boom as that cavalry hits, bang as that cavalry hits. And if you notice there, most of the Brutii cavalry there that were involved in that attack there, Mars's cavalry has now been taken out. A lot of the Seleucid cavalry have been taken out as well. So there's a lot going on this left flank. Now maybe whoever wins on this left flank could be pivotal to the outcome of the battle. We just have to wait and see. Can you see the Seleucid general Crypto bringing his pikes forward as well? He's charging those tanks of the ancient world into those enemy Scipii cavalry. If you notice, I've brought my archers across as well here. I think that's a Seleucid general who's just been taken out. Now remember, Seleucid morale is not very good anyway, and to lose their morale bonus from their general when he's killed, that will lower their morale even more. Crypto's being very aggressive with his pikes there. Notice how he's running them forward, probably looking to try to go into the flank of the enemy SBQR infantry there. Mars is moving forward to support his Seleucid ally there. Let's just pause the game for a second, take stock of exactly what's going on. So as you can see here, JGP is up against the Seleucid pikes here and cavalry. If you notice there that Crypto's moving them in from right to left to attack the enemy SBQR. But if you notice that the enemy Scipii troops are coming in behind Crypto's infantry. Now remember, like we said, the Seleucid morale is not very good. If they get smashed in from the rear, they may well rout. You can see Mars is moving his infantry forward as fast as he can there to try and help our Seleucid ally out there. Let's say I've got my archers and the Seleucid archers are both shooting loads of arrows into the enemy troops as they're moving. So trying to cause as many casualties and disruption as we can with our archers there. But as I say, over on this left flank, whoever wins here, as I said, it could prove pivotal to the outcome of the battle. Right, as you can see, Crypto Seleucid pikemen are moving in on the enemy SBQR troops, but also as you can see, the enemy blue Scipii infantry are coming in behind Crypto's pikes there, hitting him in the rear. I think he's turned some pikes to try and counter the threat there, but he is in a pretty precarious position, I think, sandwiched. Right, can you see Crypto still charging his cataphracts of the ancient world in with Mars' cavalry against the enemy SBQR troops, but you've got Scipii infantry and cavalry charging in to his Seleucid pikes there. So remember, the Seleucid general's dead, so they're losing their they've lost their general morale bonus there. As you can see, I've got my archers in tight formation here, group tight formation and not in open order, to try and concentrate the arrow fire I'm putting into the flanks of the enemy troops. As you can see, Mars' infantry is getting hit by SBQR cavalry as well. So my archers and the Seleucid archers are putting loads of arrows into the enemy troops here. But as you can see, the Seleucid pikes are being sandwiched between the enemy SBQR infantry and the blue enemy Scipii infantry there. And I can see the Scipii cavalry charging in, and bang as that cavalry hits. Things are not looking very good for our Seleucid ally over here on the left flank as it stands at the moment. See, most of the Seleucid pikes are starting to rout now. As I say, the morale has been lowered by the general being killed. Let's just pause the game for a second. So over here on our left flank, it looks like after a ferocious fight, our left flank may well have been broken here by a combined enemy SBQR and Scipii attack. We've still got some Seleucid cavalry left. If you notice, I'm running my Spartans over. I want to get into the melee with these enemy troops. As I say before, I don't want to stand around to let them just pile on me. I want to get over there and I want to get those Spartans in amongst the enemy troops. I've got to make up for putting my team at a cavalry disadvantage by choosing Greek cities. So I really want to get my infantry involved with that enemy infantry over there. Mars' green Brutii infantry is already involved with the enemy. If you notice over here on our right flank, you can see that Spartan Leonidas is facing Sparky's SBQR troops. Remember, our team there are the red Julii and the enemy are the purple SBQR. So we've basically lost our left flank after a ferocious fight, and our right flank is under a lot of pressure as well. Most of the Seleucid pikemen have now been routed. And that final cavalry charge, bang, as that Scipii cavalry goes in, has routed the last of our, I think there might be one unit of Crypto's pikemen left there. But basically most of his, that unit's just routed. So basically all the Seleucid pikemen have now been routed. Here can you see the purple SBQR general and some infantry fighting those cataphract cavalry and some of Mars's cavalry as well. Here on the left, trying to kill that SBQR general is what my teammates are trying to do there to lower the morale of his troops. So there's a bit of a scrap there on the far left. As you can see, I've brought my Spartan army over here now, and I've got them managed to get them all over there now. I want to get into the melee here against the enemy Scipii and SBQR infantry there. I say Mars's infantry is pretty well intact, but I think he's lost most of his cavalry, if not all of his cavalry there as well. So let's say things are really heating up there in the left centre. Let's say I got my archers there in close formation, shooting loads of arrows into the enemy troops. But meanwhile, over on our right flank, as I say, there's another little tussle going on between Spartan Leonidas' red Julii troops and the enemy Sparky's SBQR troops here. So if we lose our right flank as well, that would be, as you say, really bad. Newer players for Rome Total War, there's a Testudo, a unit in Testudo. See the all-round defence there? Very good for defensive work. If you're being attacked by pikes or heavily attacked by any infantry, Testudo is pretty good. Really protects the troops within that formation. Okay, so meanwhile over here, in our left and right centres here, as you can see, both Mars and myself are engaging the enemy troops. Let's say newer players for Rome Total War, when you bring the Greek cities, as I said a couple of times, you do put your allies at a cavalry disadvantage, so you have to make up for that by using your elite Spartans in a really good, effective way to help your team. And the best way to do that is to be aggressive and attack. Now I use my Spartans in an old school way. I like to keep them concentrated. A lot of players I notice now kind of spread their Spartans out amongst their teammates, which can be very effective. But as I say, I'm pretty old school with my Spartan army and formation. I like to keep them concentrating and keep punching away at the enemy battle line, trying to smash a hole through it if I can. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see, there's a lot of Scipii infantry there facing Mars and myself. They've got a cavalry advantage as well. I see they've got a lot of cavalry left. I think basically we've lost our cavalry on this flank. I see Spartan Leonidas has still got his red cavalry left. But if you notice here, can you see that Turk has sent some of his Scipii cavalry over to attack the rear of Spartan Leonidas' army? And to be honest with you, looking at our right flank is looking pretty delicate to me. And it looks like I'm not sure how long our right flank's going to hold it as well, and if they break our right flank, then we will be in really big trouble. Right, some of Crypto's pikemen that were routed earlier have rallied, and he's bringing them back to the fray. So that's good. Bring them back. Help me out maybe against the enemy that I'm facing. But as I say here, over on our right flank, oh my gosh, can you see a lot of Spartan Leonidas' Julii troops have just been routed, including his Eagle unit. So our right flank looks like it is about to break. I hope we can hold on that right flank, but it's not looking very good over there at the moment. But as you can see, with my Spartan army here, very aggressively pushing forward, attacking, engaging the enemy troops, not standing back, not just standing there and letting my troops get piloted as they stand still. I'm very aggressively attacking. Meanwhile, over on our right flank here, as you can see, Spartan Leonidas got about 4 or 5 infantry units still fighting. But if you notice the enemy there, they've got their Scipii cavalry and all those SBQR infantry there attacking Spartan Leonidas' red Julii force, and it looks like our right flank is about to break. Let's say if our right flank breaks, they will just roll us up from right to left here. Right, can you see that Scipio cavalry charging into that Seleucid archers? There's a couple of Seleucid archer units there. So as I say, with my Spartans, as I say, this is old school fighting, very old school. Keep your troops concentrated moving forward. As I say, some good Spartan players distribute some of their units amongst their allies, and that looks really effective. But as I say, this is an old school army with old school tactics that I'm using, and I like to keep my troops concentrated but attacking, moving forward all the time, trying to keep the enemy on the back foot. Let's just pause again for a second. Right, Mars's Brutii army here is being heavily attacked, as you can see, by Scipii cavalry and infantry. Remember, Mars is using my old army there, that 12 infantry, 6 cavalry there. So I just hope that army is managing to hold. Meanwhile, over here on our right flank, okay, basically all of Spartan Leonidas as Julii infantry has now been routed, and our right flank has been broken. So our right flank has now been broken after a massive battle there with Spartan Leonidas. So the enemy now could start rolling us up from right to left. Spartan Leonidas fought really well over on that right flank, but being attacked by both lots of cavalry and that infantry, I think he did really well holding as long as he did. But unfortunately now it's only going to be a matter of time till we're rolled up, I think, from right to left here. As you can see here, as I said earlier, there's Scipii and some SBQR units there that I'm still pushing forward to. Do you notice that Crypto's brought his pikes over there to cover my flank, stop enemy trying to get in behind me? But my Spartans, I'm using their aggressive attacking specifications there to move forward. Right, over here, can you see the enemy are attacking Mars's Brutii infantry? Because you see Spartan Leonidas still got most of his cavalry intact, and bang as those units go in. Bang and boom as they hit. And you can see a lot of the enemy Scipii units there are going to be suffering loads of casualties there from Spartan Leonidas' hit. But unfortunately, can you see the enemy SBQR units moving over? Those are those units from the victorious right flank that they've just broken. And as I say, they may well try and roll us up from right to left here. Okay, over here you can see that, as I say, with my Greek cities units, I'm trying to use their attacking specifications there. I've moved a couple of units back over to try and help Mars, and if you notice, the Scipii generals put some units in Testudo to slow my units up. But also here, can you see that Crypto is attacking with some of his rallied pike units here, trying to put pressure on these enemy Scipii troops. And as I said, you can see that I'm pushing forward with my main Spartan army into these enemy Scipii troops, and the general's put his units into Testudo there, which is of course the Roman standard defense against a pike attack. But as I say, you can see the enemy SBQR troops coming over from that victorious right flank that they've just broken, and as I say, they're probably going to go into the rear of our troops and roll us up from right to left here. So I think the battle will probably be over quite soon. But you can see Spartan Leonidas, say, he's still got most of his cavalry intact, and he's charging that cavalry into the rear of engaged enemy troops there. Nice use of his cavalry. Let's say hammer and anvil attack there as his cavalry charges in. Just pause again for a second. So there you go, hammer and anvil. See, my Spartans are the anvil and his cavalry are the hammer. So he just pulled the trigger, charged that cavalry in there, and those Scipii troops are sandwiched. As I say, hammer and anvil attack. Nice hit there by Spartan Leonidas. Very nice. But over here you can see that Mars's Brutii army is being hit quite hard by enemy troops. I've sent some of my Spartan units over to try and assist him, but as I say, that is an old army of mine that he's using for this particular battle. It seems to be holding quite well against the enemy hits that is taken. But how long he'll be able to hold there, I don't know. As I say, the enemy will be looking to roll us up from right to left here. Right, so you can see that I'm moving my Spartans moving forward towards that Scipii general. As you know, in other battle videos that you've watched, I like to kill the enemy generals as soon as I can to lower the morale of their troops. You've noticed there, bang! Knock that Scipii general down, he's dead. And so that's lowered the morale of all his troops. If you notice, the Scipii general here is moving his infantry away from the mincing machine, which I call those Spartans when they move forward in a concentrated mass. They remind me of a slow-moving steamroller. As I say, not moving very fast, but they go over anything they come into contact with if you keep them concentrated. Right, remember that Mars is green Brutii here, and he's getting hit and smashed by a lot of enemies. His general's just routed now, to the morale of all his troops has got right. I suppose the game here. Right, so after a ferocious fight, all of Mars's infantry has now been routed. Most of his forces were routed by that victorious enemy army coming across from the right flank, which they've just broken. So basically, as you can see here, most of my allies now have been taken out by the enemy, and it's only just going to be a matter of time, I think, until, as I say, the enemy troops start rolling my troops up there from right to left. Of course, my troops fighting over there by Mars, their morale will be dropping because they can see allies routing, so they could be ripe for routing themselves. So if you notice, I'm running my Spartans over there, including my general, to give all my Spartan units as much morale as I can. Now remember, this is an old school army with old school tactics. I like to keep my Spartans concentrated. I don't like to spread them out. So you see, I'm charging forward. And there's a reason I'm just charging forward here aggressively. Can you see 2 enemy generals right in front of my troops there? The Scipio general and the SPQR general. Let's just pause again for a second. As you know, my tactics in these battles is to take out the enemy generals. Right, can you see those 2 generals in front of me? I want to take them out to lower the morale of their troops. So I'm going to really concentrate on doing that. But also, I've got to put units to defend my flanks and rear as the enemy troops are moving in. As you can see there, surrounded, starting to get surrounded by enemy troops, but I'm going to face each one of those attacking units with a Spartan unit, so that none of my units are being attacked in the rear or the flank. My units will face the attack head on from the enemy troops. But as I say, I'm going to keep banging away at those enemy generals there. I want to take out those enemy generals to lower the morale of their troops. But as you can see, Spartan army there is quite, I would think, outnumbered there by enemy troops. And here is a little bit more kind of worrying news here. All my Spartan units are engaged here against the enemy troops, and look what's coming in behind me. Scipii infantry, warmed up or fresh troops coming in to smash into the rear of my infantry. And my guess is as soon as that Scipii infantry hits, my units will probably rout en masse, as they're already engaged. So let's say I think the battle will probably be over. Will be over quite soon here. As you can see, that Scipii infantry moving in. I say I got my Spartan units fighting in all directions here. They're not just facing forward. I've got them facing all the units that are attacking. I think that's my general has just been taken out there as the Scipii troops charge in. Well, I'm glad to say my troops didn't mass rout there. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. So now you can see all the enemy Scipii troops coming in behind. All my units are thoroughly engaged at the moment against enemy troops here. Now don't forget, this is an old school Greek cities army of mine from maybe 9-10 years ago with old school tactics. I'm keeping my troops concentrated, but they're all fighting in different directions. They're all countering enemy attacks coming in on them, and that makes a big difference. Right, there's the enemy Scipio general's just been killed. So the morale of his troops are going to drop. Remember now, I want to get that SPQR general as well. Remember, press for there you are. The SPQR general has either been killed or routed there, so the morale of his troops are going to falter as well. But I'm keeping those Spartans fighting all the time. I'm moving them into attack. I'm not just standing there on my units. I'm clicking on them and I'm attacking the enemy, making the most of those Spartan attack specifications there, as I'm pressing in on the enemy troops. Right, there's some cavalry coming in and bang, as that cavalry hits. Nice cavalry hit there, but remember, every pike unit has got an anti-cavalry bonus, so you have to be very careful when you use cavalry. When I saw my Spartans surrounded, it reminded me a little bit of Custer's last stand there when we were surrounded by all the enemy troops there, and I thought that was going to be it, but somehow we've managed to fight our way through the enemy troops and rout a lot of them. I think my teammates have got to take a lot of credit for this, because the way they were fighting the enemy troops, they made them tired, made a lot of those enemy troops tired, maybe even exhausted. So when they come up against my Spartans, they were already kind of, their morale would have been that much lower. So well done to my teammates there. As you can see, this is quite a spread out battlefield. Remember on the right flank here where Spartan Leonidas was fighting the enemy SPQR troops there? So that was quite a spread out battle there. And then over on the left flank, do you remember where JGP and the Seleucid general and the enemy Scipio troops were fighting? And then in the centre, right and left here, you can see where the masses of dead are really piled up there. So you can see how concentrated the dead are there. If you notice, I'm moving my Spartans towards the last couple of enemy infantry units. It wouldn't surprise me if that general just admitted defeat. There you go. You just admitted defeat there. Well, there you go. That, as I say, this old Spartan army of mine, as I say, maybe 9-10 years old, with old school tactics, old school formation, still seems to be quite a formidable force on the modern day battlefield. But of course, you're only as good as your teammates. So really well done to my teammates there, who played extremely well. And as you can see, the amount of dead all over the battlefield, especially in this concentrated area, just goes to show how intense this battle was. Okay, just like I say, as you notice here, it was a close victory. I thought it was very close actually, and when I saw my Spartans surrounded there, I really did think that was probably it. So you could say we've kind of snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, I think there. If you notice there, Titan Sparky got 1,804 kills, so well done to him. Got some good kills there, as did his teammates as well. They did really well. If you notice that, if you notice, my old Spartan army just about managed to get the highest kills in the battle there. So as I say, old school tactics, old school army can still work on the modern day battlefield as long as you've got good teammates. Well done to Crypto. Remember, that was an experimental army of Cryptos. Well done to Mars, and well done to Spartan Leonidas, and really well done to Sparky, Renegade Turk, RTW player Scruffy, and Brotherhood member JGP. Well done, guys. Nice attacking tactics there. If you notice though that the top 3 kills I think are in the enemy team. If you look at the kills, and if you notice that the JGP and Spartan Leonidas, there's only about 200 kills difference in them. So you can see, if you look at the kills of the team, there's not a lot in it. Just have a look at the battle statistics here. You see some of my Spartan units did quite good. One unit killed 177 enemy infantry. So they didn't do too badly there. And those cheap archers of mine, if you look, they might have got 60 kills, but then that's 60 less enemy for us to worry about. So even with cheap archers, you can still do okay on the battlefield there, and I could use them at different various parts of the battlefield there in close formation to concentrate their archer fire. So once again, really well played, guys. Titan Sparky, really good kills. Renegade Turk, good kills. Scruffy, good kills. JGP got caught a bit early there, so he didn't get a lot of kills. Spartan Leonidas, I say, there's only 200 difference between them two. Really well done to Mars, and Crypto, that Seleucid, experimental Seleucid army of yours, I thought did quite good. So as I say, players out there that have asked me about why I don't bring Spartans very often, as I say, I quite enjoy playing with them in this battle. My reactions weren't too slow as I thought they might be. So Spartan Commanders, I hope you enjoyed the battle, and bye for now.